Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to messing up the Spider-Man IP, Sony is the undisputed GOAT. I mean, when you have such masterpieces as Venom, or Morbius, or Madame Web, I mean, truly, nobody comes close. Granted, they're the only ones with the IP, so they're really the only ones that are able to even try. But my point still stands. And the one all right, not all right, to be fair, the one incredibly bright spot in this darkness that is the what do they call it, the sunk, I think that's literally what they call it, the Sony universe of Marvel characters, has been the Spider-Verse movies. I mean, it's really weird. Sony is either able to make the worst movie of all time or the greatest movie of all time. There's quite literally no in between. And the guys responsible for that movie, if you don't know, are Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They've directed such movies as like the Lego movie, I think the 21 and 22 Jump Street. Um, and to be fair, they didn't direct the Spider-Verse movies, but they're like the executive producers on it. And like the one bright spot, like, or I should say, the one like light at the end of this very long, very dark tunnel that is live action Spider-Man content, it has been the fact that they were brought on to sort of be the Kevin Feige's of Spider-Man TV, and we were going to get live action Spider-Man based television series, right? We were supposed to be getting Spider-Man Noir, which to be fair we are still getting, and we were also supposed to be getting a Silk TV series. But needless to say, all of that has gone to the wayside. Yesterday evening, the news broke that J.J. Abrams and Bat Robot have inexplicably managed to sign a new multi-year film and TV deal with Warner Brothers. Elsewhere in the piece, various updates are shared about similar deals, including Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse producers Phil Lord and Chris Miller's partnership with Sony Pictures Television. The duo signed a 5-year, 9-picture deal with the studio in 2019, with the idea being that they'd oversee a slate of Spider-Man projects on streaming. Despite Sony's habit of producing terrible Marvel movies like Morbius and Madame Web, this partnership generated a fair bit of excitement among fans. The first of those TV shows, Silk Spider Society, was scrapped earlier this year after 2 years in development. Now Amazon is moving forward with the Nick Cage-led Spider Noir, even after it endured a heated fight over its budget. As a result, Sony is not expected to renew the deal, which did, however, deliver 2 seasons of another pricey show, the Apple TV Plus anthology series The After Party. With Lord and Miller no longer overseeing these small-screen Spider-Man TV shows, it's hard to explain the feeling that they'll head the way it's hard to escape the feeling that they'll head the way of Sony's failed efforts to expand the wall crawler's world in theaters. Now, something that I will say about all of this is that I actually do think that it's entirely possible that Sony is actually being reasonable here. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand like the knee-jerk reaction of being like, well, they made the Spider-Verse movies, so they're epic and based and awesome, and you should just let them do whatever they want. But the reality is that there have been stories that have come out that, and I don't necessarily know that this is exactly the case, but, or at least in this situation, but there have been stories that come out that kind of make it sound like Phil Lord and Chris Miller might not be the easiest duo to work with. So they were also directing the Han Solo movie, the one with Alden Ehrenreich, whatever, the prequel Han Solo movie. They were the original directors on that, and then like months into production on it, they started going like off script, and they started trying to make the movie more of a comedy, and it was just a weird situation going on there. And Disney actually fired them from the movie and brought in a new director to remake the movie. And that's like that was like one of the original Star Wars disasters for Disney, because They went way massively over budget because they had to reshoot a bunch of the stuff that Phil Lord and Chris Miller directed, and then the movie ended up bombing at the box office anyways. They also, in regards to the Spider-Verse movies, there's also a lot of controversy around that, right? There's a lot of controversy around the fact that they overwork their animators, apparently. Like, animators are like having to work 11 hours, 7 days a week, for months on end. Like, there's a lot of controversy around that, around how maybe they're not the best managers, and how their like perfectionism is maybe just not tenable. I mean, and it's one of those things where it's hard to argue with the results, but at the end of the day, like, as good as the Spider-Verse movies are and as beautiful as they are, it's like, is it worth doing that to the animators? I personally don't think so. But again, the results of the movies are what they are. And then, you kind of have to look at at what they were talking about in that article that I was just reading, about how the fact that maybe they were like fighting over the budget of Spider Noir. Like, what budget were they asking for? I don't know. Like, is that like, if they were asking for like a $200 million budget, yeah, that's probably unreasonable. And like, I'm just saying, like, as talented as these guys are, at the end of the day, like, you need business partners that you feel like you can trust. You know what I mean? And I gotta say this as well. I feel like doing streaming shows like this, especially with the specific characters that they're doing them with, feel like a bit of a boondoggle. Like they were making a Silk show. And by the way, that show has been like put on an indefinite hiatus for sure. I can't remember if it was like outright canceled, but for all intents and purposes, it was canceled. Why not make a Silk movie? Like when you're looking at the Sony Spider-Man shared villain universe, my assumption is that like the main reason why we haven't seen Spider-Man in any of those movies is because Sony probably literally can't. Like, my guess is that the deal that they have with Disney and Marvel is that, hey, we're gonna make the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, but you can't have a competing like live action Spider-Man. And it's like that's understandable. But does that include like all of the other Spider-Man variants? Like, is that the reason why they don't maybe have like a Miles Morales Spider-Man be the main Spider-Man of that universe? Like, you're telling me that you couldn't have like a Silk be the main Spider-Man of that universe? Because how much better? Like, like, obviously the quality of the movies are still the quality of the movies, but like, if there was at least like a Spider person as the center of that universe, when we're talking about Morbius and Venom and Kraven, Madam Web, is Madam Web even in that universe? Because it was like in the past. I don't know, who cares? But like, how much like better would that universe feel if there was just like a Spider person grounding it out and being the centerpiece of the universe? So like, I remember I've this entire time I've been like, why are we even making a Silk show? Make a Silk movie. And by the way, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, nobody cares about Silk, or people only care about Peter Parker as Spider-Man. You might even be right about that. Nobody also cared about Morbius. Sony is gonna make these movies anyways. Okay, I'm just trying to get to the best possible outcome here, guys. So here's the thing. I understand that we look at that like the knee-jerk reaction to this news of Phil Lord and Miller leaving, and this like Sony Spider-Man TV show universe or whatever that they were planning on doing. It's probably going to go by the wayside. I understand that people are going to view this as like, oh, big bad Sony and they're blah 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 blah. They're messy. They messed it up with Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and it's entirely possible that that's the case. But I do just want to point out that it is also possible that Phil Lord and Chris Miller could have been up to some shenanigans, because there have been reports of them doing that in the past. And to be honest, I kind of just don't even think that doing Spider-Man TV shows is necessarily worth it either, when you should be making Spider-Person movies. Although, to be fair, Spider-Man Noir is also a different situation, because that a Spider-Man Noir is never going to be like the main Spider-Man of your universe. So that one is fine. I was specifically talking about Silk. But in any case, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.